Confessions of an Instagram Model. Dun dun dun. Hello everyone, I'm Sarah from Everyday Starlet. Welcome to my channel. I make videos to inspire you to be the star of your own life. Today I wanted to talk to you about my experience on Instagram and my Instagram journey of sort of somehow becoming an Instagram model and what I've learned from it and where I'm gonna go from here. Who knows, right? So I know some of you watching have probably followed along on my journey. I had my YouTube channel long before I had my Instagram. But for those of you that don't know, and I've had videos talking about some of these various things, so if anything I mention in this you'd like me to do a more in-depth video on, or I may already have a more in-depth video on some of these things, so you can actually just go in the little search bar and search and I'll link some videos to this one. For those of you that don't know my backstory, I'll try to sum it up in general. I have had a very hard time with body image and I would say body dysmorphia as far back as I can remember. My earliest memory in my life, I would say I was probably about 4 years old, and it was of looking in a mirror, rubbing my belly and crying because I thought I was fat and ugly, which is not something normal that like a 4-year-old would be thinking, right? So I've always had body image issues. I've always struggled with my appearance. It's been a huge hurdle for me in my life. I was very overweight. I struggled with my weight a lot as a kid. I dealt with a lot of emotional eating, and I mean, I've had a really bad relationship with food most of my life. I've had a lot of history of binge eating. I've done a lot of fad diets, and yeah, I have a really long history of starting from a young age. I think I tried my first fad diet at age 8. I was a lifetime member of Weight Watchers at age 11. Like I've struggled with my weight and my body image and my appearance as far back as I can remember. So I was always considered a smart kid. But I didn't want to be seen as smart. I wanted to be seen as pretty. I wanted to be pretty and attractive, and I wanted to be a model. I grew up in the era of like the supermodels, and I wanted people to think I was pretty. I really didn't care if people thought I was smart. People just always thought I was smart, and I'd be like, no, darn it, I want to be pretty. I kind of learned at a certain point to use humor. I was not an outgoing kid. I was actually very introverted and very shy, like painfully shy growing up. But if you got to know me, I would use a lot of humor, and I studied, sitcoms my whole life, and I've always had a strong connection with humor. I started to get into acting when I was in high school. I was always much more comfortable with comedic acting. I started to hone my comedy skills. So I decided that I was going to be an actress. And I think the thing that people kept trying to tell me without being too rude about it was that I was not thin enough to be an actress. Some people would just flat out say it. So I ended up, when I became an adult, I didn't date at all in high school, and when I became an adult, I started to I'll be honest with you, I really haven't dated that much throughout my life, but I got involved with a few really unhealthy, I would say verbally and psychologically abusive relationships. And a big pattern in those relationships was if I did dress in a way that, I have a very large bust. This is mine. I grew it myself. I got it from my grandma. If I dressed it all in a way that didn't like completely, like it wasn't like literally like, even this would be like, you can still tell you have boobs. It's like, I don't know what else I can do. My zipper's gonna stick now. Like I had no other, like if I wasn't basically walking around in a muumuu, if a guy paid attention to me, the guy I was dating would then shame me and tell me I looked terrible, or tell me I looked bad, or tell me that I was like, I should be covering up because I'm just like asking for male attention, and I would get massively shamed for it. So on top of this incredibly like me feeling like I had this horrible body image, if a man did think that I was attractive, then the man I was dating would then massively shame me and try to tell me that I didn't look attractive so that I would cover up. And that became a really serious pattern throughout my life. So then I ended up losing a significant amount of weight in my early 20s. And I could fit into more clothes. I had more options. I wanted to show off my weight loss, so I was dressing in much tighter clothes. I still had the girls, and so of course the guys I would date would then shame me, would tell me I was fat, even though I clearly wasn't. I was working in a really snobby high-end retail store trying to sell clothes, and the thing was that like I would be wearing this stuff that we were selling and like the other girls were wearing, but because I had this going on. The managers would shame me for what I was wearing. I would get like filthy looks at me, like all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I'm wearing the same thing that like these other girls are wearing. And it was always this, like, my body was a problem. You know what I mean? It was like, you know, having this chest size, my body not, you know, being like a stick thin, you know, supermodel waif Kate Moss looking. I've said my whole life, I'm sending Kate Moss my therapy bill someday, I swear to God. Like, not having that body type was always like a problem. It was like this, it was offensive somehow to people. And it was like, I don't know what people want me to wear, like how much I can cover up that will make people not find my body offensive, right? It was just, it was a constant battle with me. After that, I ended up getting into the world of stand-up comedy, and I actually talk about this experience. I've talked about this before in other videos. Actually, in last week's video on dressing for men or women, I talk about my experience with how I was dressing in the comedy world. So if you want to watch that video, I'll link that to this one. I started working in stand-up comedy using my humor, which felt like a perfect combination because I loved being on stage. I loved using humor. I didn't have to wait for like an acting role. That I never fit the acting roles. I never fit the costumes and stuff, so I didn't have to wait for acting roles. I could get up on stage anytime I wanted to, and I could be funny, I could be humorous, and it felt like such a perfect fit for me at the time. But it was mostly men, and it was a lot of men who had a lot of issues with women. And again, it wasn't so much shamed as I would get shamed sometimes for my body, but it was more, the guys didn't pay attention to what I was doing, like my humor, what I was saying. It was all focused on my body and my look. Again, it was reading that as like, okay, well, okay, now men are attracted to me, which I wanted men to be attracted to me before when I was younger, and I never felt like they were. So I always felt bad about myself because I didn't think I was attractive. But now men are attracted to me, but now it's a problem because now I can't do anything else. You know, and I always found it ironic that like I was always like in college and stuff, I was always like the fat funny friend. Like guys always thought I was like the fat funny friend. They would always like hit on the other girls who were like thin and vacant and stuff, and they never wanted to actually date me. Like we could have a great conversation and be really funny, but like they didn't want to date me. And now here I was in comedy, and like all the guys, let's be perfectly honest with you, because I used to get a lot of guys in comedy to be like, yeah, all these guys want to date you, and I'm like, no, they want to sleep with me. There's a difference. It was just interesting because I wanted male attention. I wanted men to think I was attractive when I was younger, and I was like, oh, they just think of me as being funny or like smart or something. Then here I was in an environment where I could show off how funny and smart I was, and all the guys were just reducing me to just appearance. But it also didn't feel like I didn't feel fulfilled in that because, well, first of all, no offense to the comics watching, but like it wasn't like these were like high value men that were valuing me for my appearance. These were guys who were like, oh, she's hot, I want to see what I can get from her. So it was like this taking advantage of me, when in reality, if you really looked deep into what I wanted someone to love me, and I thought if I could just be pretty enough, someone would love me. So there's that. And so I did stand-up comedy for about 15 years. In this whole time period, I also went on the pill, which I thought was for my benefit. Like I thought there was actually health benefits to it. And it wasn't actually until like about 2 years ago when I started to actually hear that there's actually a lot of side effects to that. I was on it for like almost 20 years. And there's some people who have massive side effects to the pill. I have a whole video talking about my experience with the pill. One of the things for me that I didn't know because I was so young when I went on it is I had no sex drive at all. Like I did not desire any, I was not connected to my sexuality at all. I had no sex, I was not connected to it. That combined with the fact that then now I was in this male dominated profession where I was being treated as this like sex object, it felt even more off-putting. Like it was just like, no. So I had to shut down and hide, in my mind at least, any kind of sexuality that I possibly had. It became a safety protective thing. Like I couldn't be sexy, I couldn't dress sexy. I had to, I mean, even this, which if I was a sweatshirt for God's sakes, but like even this, like no matter how buttoned up I was, it was always like this, oh well, she's just showing off. And my weight fluctuated a lot in this time period. So then I ended up going through a phase, yeah, this was like 6 years ago, I feel like, a lot of stuff happened to me. I ended up, I got into a relationship, I got engaged, I got married, I got, I got divorced, all within the course of like a 3-4 year period. Both of my parents got severe health problems. I had to step in as caretaker. I was leaving the comedy world because I was just becoming so disillusioned with that world. That all happened just before we had the global pandemic. So that's what my life was up to like 2019, right? And then 2020, we all know what happened. But anyway, so all that stuff is happening. And I was also transitioning from doing just stand-up to, I had created Everyday Starlet. I created my blog and this YouTube channel. I was doing mostly beauty stuff because I do have a background in cosmetology. Yeah, I was doing beauty reviews and things like that because I wanted to be girly. I wanted to connect with my feminine, which was a very surface feminine energy, but still fun. I know a lot of you probably follow me for, you know, my makeup tips and things like that. And I still love like hair, makeup, beauty. I still love that stuff. I'm just not as obsessed with it as I was before. And I transitioned out of doing like beauty reviews and a lot of beauty content because I just felt like it was, I'm not that interested in just trying every new product that comes out. And I don't love the idea of pushing like this mass consumerism and constantly pushing on women that they need the newest thing or the newest product in order to make themselves be attractive. Like I really wanted to focus on something deeper. In the process of my divorce, basically, and going through this whole complicated life that I was dealing with at the time, I got really into fitness. I was working out a lot. That was my outlet for like dealing with all the emotions that I was going through. And I ended up getting myself pretty fit and in pretty decent shape. I mean, I still had a lot of body image issues and a lot of body hangups. And I decided to start posting photos of me on Instagram. I started out with a swimsuit photo. And if you have been following me that far back, you know that like I don't even know how to swim because I never wore swimsuits growing up. I was so self-conscious about my body. So posting a picture publicly of me on the internet in a swimsuit was like a huge step for me. And I shared my experience, and I was amazed at how many women reached out and told me about, you know, their issues with their body image and things like that, and I felt really great about it. And I also, because I have a very odd bra size, I started actually finding more brands that actually were catering to bra sizes and lingerie that actually fit my bust size. And if those of you that remember my sports bra reviews, which I'm still super proud of, that are here on this channel, they all got demonetized because apparently sports bras are offensive. All the other Fitspo models can have all of their monetized videos and their little Lycra sports tops, but if I have a fully supported sports bra review video, it gets demonetized because they're offensive. Again, not bitter. Anyway, my initial drive for posting on Instagram was I wanted to inspire women. I wanted to learn to be comfortable with my body. I wanted to learn to accept my body, to love my body. Finally, at this point in my life, I was almost 40 at this time. I was like 37, 38 years old. And I was like, you know what? I want to learn to love my body. I want to learn to see if I can post photos that make myself feel beautiful and be willing to be seen in this way. Maybe share some lingerie brands and promote some lingerie brands that actually carry sizes for women who have trouble finding the right size like I did for so long. And it was always about women. And you know, I also felt like, you know, I never saw women with my body type in the media. And I thought, you know, there's other women out there with my body type or with body types who don't get seen in the media. If I can create beautiful photos of myself and show, even if just in my own little space on social media, that you don't have to look like the women in the magazines or the women on TV in order to be beautiful, I can inspire other women to feel that way. And that has always, always, always been my primary focus on Instagram. And I'm gonna get emotional about this because it's always been my goal. Like it's always been, I want women to feel beautiful. I do. I want women to feel beautiful because I felt so ugly for so long, and I hated the way I looked for so long. And I wanted women to not have to feel that way. And I wanted to not feel that way. And that's when things started shifting. And I started gaining a following, but it wasn't the following I was expecting. And I think at the time I just figured, okay, you know what? Some of these guys that are following me are a necessary evil. whatever, my numbers are going up, it's giving me more engagement, things are going well, it'll boost my Instagram so I can reach a wider audience. Like, I just figured it was what it was. I got really friendly with the block button. Any guy who remotely made me feel creeped out at all, I was like, block, block, block. Didn't care, you know, any kind of sketch was like not worth my energy. But it did get frustrating because it's still not fulfilling, you know what I mean? Like, it was never my goal. And then you get a lot of guys who get like angry with you because they think that that's your goal. It's like, well, how dare you get offended that I'm sexualizing you when you're sexualizing yourself? And I also would get a lot of shame from, yeah, I will admit, I've never had a negative comment from a woman on my Instagram. Any hate comments I've ever gotten on my Instagram have always come from men. And they're usually men who are like angry and bitter and obviously have issues with women that are not me. Like, it's them living out their trauma or their triggers and coming at me. And I've had to learn to accept that. I've had to learn to accept that I have to be me. And if men perceive me as exploiting myself sexually, if men perceive me as doing any of this stuff like for them or for attention or whatever, which, let's face it, nobody posts anything on social media for any other reason than they want attention. Like, I mean, we shame women for doing this, for like posting. It's like, she just wants attention. Everybody wants attention. Everyone's on social media for attention. If you didn't want attention, you wouldn't be on social media. Let's be serious. But that doesn't necessarily mean that what you think that they want attention for is the thing that they actually want attention for. Like, you're putting your own view on that, and I've really had to learn to like let go of that judgment. I do see I see men doing this, of shaming women who show their bodies on social media. When it's like, as men, I don't think that, I mean, yes, men do have body image issues, and I'm not saying that they don't, and I'm not saying that they don't experience that. It's not the same level as what happens with women. It's nowhere near the same level. It's just not. But I see a lot of women who shame other women for sharing their bodies on social media. And it bothers me because I would say 9 times out of 10, these women have pictures of their bodies on social media. I've seen it. I've seen the hypocrisy, and it drives me crazy. It's like, they'll shame women for showing up and being like, why are you posting a picture of yourself in a bra? And it's like, girl, scroll back a few items and you got yourself in a bikini right there. How is that any different? You're actually wearing less in that photo of you on the beach in a bikini than I'm wearing of myself in like full lingerie in the privacy of my own bedroom. Like, that kind of stuff bugs me. These are things that I've had to accept and learn, that, you know what, I can come forward, I can have a message, I can present myself in a certain way. I can't control how other people perceive me. And that's been a big hurdle for me. And I have to say, it has been. So another thing is, when I started posting, I was like 37, 38 years old. And most of these girls that start posting this stuff post really, really young. Like, they start sometimes like barely even 18. First of all, I would never tell a woman that like the way that I did things, or the way that I put myself out there in social media, or the way that I posted lingerie photos, or whatever, the way I learned to love my body is the right way. I think every woman needs to find their own way. It was just the way that I came up with. Maybe it was a bad idea. I don't know. Maybe it was a great idea. Maybe it was the smartest thing in the world. Maybe it was the dumbest thing in the world. I don't know. But it was my way. And I would never tell other girls, especially other young girls, to do exactly what I did. I think everybody needs to make the decision for themselves. And I think particularly when I see really young girls doing this stuff. I mean, like, if you're honest, for me, I was like, I'm 37, 38 years old. I don't have a perfect Instagram body. I definitely don't now. I didn't back then, and I'm bigger now than I was back then. But I just assumed that guys were going to be chasing after like the 22-year-old fitness models. Like, why would they follow me? I had no concept for the fact that guys were going to follow me. But when they did, and then they started sexualizing me, which I didn't feel connected to my sexuality even at that point at all. I mean, here I am in my lingerie on Instagram, and I was completely disconnected from my sexuality. I mean, guys would be like, oh, you must love sex. I'd be like, ew, no. Like, I was so disconnected from it. But I feel like I was an adult and had lived enough of my life to know how to handle the judgment, the comments, you know, getting exploited. I mean, it's never really easy, but when you've lived a portion of your life, it's a little bit easier to navigate that. I also had established myself in my life in enough ways other than my appearance or, you know, sexiness or whatever. I knew I was intelligent. I knew I was funny. I knew I could write comedy material. I knew I'd been paid to create and perform comedy material. I had public speaking skills. I was a published writer. I was a college graduate. I have, you know, YouTube beauty reviews that have, you know, hundreds of thousands of views on them. I had a successful blog. I had done these things with my life that had established enough confidence in myself and my abilities. I didn't feel like presenting myself to the world with my appearance or my sexuality or whatever. I didn't perceive that as being the only thing I had to offer. And I think when you're young, as a woman, especially if you're somebody who maybe has only been taught that that's all you have to offer, your looks or your sexiness or whatever is all you have to offer the world, and you haven't actually lived enough life to realize that there's so many other things, and it's not that your beauty or your sexuality is bad, and it's not that that's not a beautiful gift to the world. It's just, if that's all you rely on, first of all, you're selling yourself short, I guarantee you, because I don't care who you are, I don't care what is going on in your life, I don't care how pretty you are, how beautiful you are, how sexy you are, you have other things to offer the world. And if you only limit yourself at such a young age to this little narrow box of stuff that you think you have to offer, and you never expand into something else, like, other people aren't going to just see those other things in you. Like, you need to cultivate that within yourself. For me, I had all this confidence in other areas of my life, but I couldn't master the confidence in my physical appearance, and definitely not in my sexuality. So for me, doing this Instagram journey was to help me cultivate that, because I had established those other things, at least for me. There's people out there who don't think I'm smart. There's people out there who don't think that I'm funny. I don't care, because I've proven that to myself. But if you criticize my appearance or my sexuality, that hits me harder because I didn't believe in that stuff myself. You only feel criticism in things that you don't feel within yourself. That's why when I see really young girls who are only using their looks or their sexuality in order to do whatever, make money or make a name for themselves or whatever, or, you know, catch a guy or whatever it is that you're trying to do, I just feel like, oh, don't limit yourself. Like, I'm not saying you can't cultivate those things and feel confident in those things. You totally can. I wish I did at a younger age. If that's all you feel like you have to offer and you never actually cultivate anything else in your life, you're selling yourself short, and you're selling the world short, is what I'm gonna say. Once you create a platform and you have a following on social media, you do feel a lot of pressure to continue to be what people want. And I do think that I'm pretty good at being like, I'm gonna do my own thing. Like, I'm pretty stubborn, and I make up my own mind a lot. But I could do another video about this if you want. I haven't really talked about this much because it's something I'm kind of still dealing with emotionally, but my weight has fluctuated a lot. It's actually changed a lot. I have put on a lot of weight. It was conscious. I actually don't get a lot of comments about it, but I haven't been posting as much of my body lately. But I have gotten a couple comments about it, that people say that, you know, like, oh, well, obviously just, you know, get control of your eating or something like that. Like, I've never been in more control of my eating and my life and my diet and my everything. So I had gotten really, really thin, which was massive restriction and massive cardio, and it was something I needed to do at the time because I was releasing a lot of emotions. I was going through a divorce. Things were really tough for me, and I got really, really thin. I loved looking that thin. I couldn't keep up with the restriction and the over cardio, and I couldn't keep up with that. So I basically did like I call it like a metabolism reset. Like, I'm healing my metabolism right now, which means I gained a lot more weight than I anticipated I was going to. And I can do a video talking more about this. I'm not going to get into too much detail about this, but my weight gain was a completely conscious decision that I made. It's also odd though, because it's like knowing that you're going to show up and that people are gonna be judging your body because they've seen your body a certain way. And that's one of the reasons why I really hate, do it every once in a while, but I really hate posting old photos of myself. As much as I love the older photos that I created, I mean, I do like 99% of all the photos that are on my social media. I took them myself. They're all selfies. I'm proud of them, but when I look at the photos, I know I don't look like that anymore, and I don't feel like that girl anymore. I've changed so much in that time. And I do think that it makes it more difficult sometimes when you're that public, particularly about your body and your image and your life. When you do start changing, there can be a real fear there of like, well, are people gonna like me? Are people gonna continue to follow me? I've also felt like posting those kind of photos, like lingerie photos, just I haven't felt called to. And it's not because of shame for my body. I'm working through a lot of body image stuff, not gonna lie. There's still stuff there, but I'm working through it. And it's not a shame thing, more of like, I want to talk. And I've been doing more, I've been sharing more videos, I've been doing more on YouTube, I've been sharing more like video clips and stuff on TikTok and Instagram. And I know I've lost a lot of followers, I have, and I continue to lose followers. And I know I've lost engagement. I do think a lot of that is the Instagram changes their algorithms. It's interesting, I have photos from like 3 years ago that I'll try to repost. Like, they still live there from like 3 years ago. They're still there. And I'll try to repost them, and they'll get taken down for like nudity or like community guidelines or whatever they argue. And I'm like, you realize it's the same photo that is on there from like 3 years ago. That was fine, but you can't repost it. Like, they've definitely changed around there, whatever. The censorship thing is just, when you've been someone who's been shamed for their body for so long, that kind of stuff really does cut deep. But yeah, I know there's a lot of people who, they were following me for a certain reason. A lot of them were men, and a lot of them were because they were sexually turned on by me. I've never posted anything because I wanted to sexually turn on a man. That's not why I've ever posted anything. I don't. Like, and if you're a guy and you think that that's why I posted, it's just not. And I'm not saying that in like a hate men, screw men kind of thing. It's just, it's not the reason. And it's interesting because when I started posting stuff like this on social media, and started the lingerie content, I asked myself some really deep questions. Like, I had to sit down and really ask myself some deep questions. One, like, are there any careers that I may want to do in my life where having lingerie photos of me on the internet is a problem? Am I okay if I never get respect in my comedy career again? Because I had suppressed my sexuality in my comedy career for so long, and I was pretty much done with doing stand-up anyway, so I was like, you know what, that's fine. To be honest with you, like, even now, like, I have a bigger following and I would get offered to do comedy shows, but for me, it didn't really feel safe to like promote a comedy show or like where I was gonna be on social media, because like, I don't want to tell a lot of the people that follow me like where I'm gonna be. I don't have bodyguards, I'm not a celebrity, you know what I mean? So there's that added like weirdness of safety and stuff. And a really, really big question that I asked myself, it was a tough conversation to have. Am I okay if posting this stuff prevents me from having a quality relationship or finding a high quality man? I was afraid that posting this content would scare away a man who had any respectability, I guess. But then again, I always felt like, why would a man want me while I was doing stand-up? Because it's like, well, why would a guy who had anything going for him want a woman who spends her time in dive bars telling jokes to drunks? So then it was like, well, why would a man of any value want me if I'm just posting, you know, photos of my bra on Instagram? Like, I had all these ideas of like what a high value man would want, and I was like, I just don't live up to that. The conclusion that I kept coming to was that the right man for me, you know, because the definition of high value in my mind was really like the right guy for me, would be a man who would be smart enough, for one, and open-minded enough, evolved enough, whatever word you want to call it. He would see past the surface of what I do, and he would see my heart, and he would see the reasons behind why I do what I do. The fact that I'm trying to inspire women, the fact that I have inspired women, the fact that this is so much deeper than just a surface thing, that I'm not doing it for like horny male attention, that's never been my truth, and that's never been my heart. And I believe that the right man will see that. Now, has that happened yet? No. Have men pretended to see it that way. And then I found out later they didn't. Yeah. But I still believe that the right man for me will see and accept me for all of this. So if you're still with me in this long and rambling video, thank you for sticking around. I guess I'm sure I'm missing some stuff that I wanted to talk about, but this has been a longer video than I anticipated. What's next? I guess is the big question. I don't really know. But to be honest, it's interesting. I started my blog, Everyday Starlet, about 8 years ago. And I found my first post from there. It was like my intro post of like what my goal was. And it talked about wanting women to connect with their femininity, which isn't a phrase that I had started using up until like the past year or 2 years. So it's random that like 8 years ago, that was something that was, I guess I had a vision. In the beginning, it felt very surface. And even with, you know, my lingerie content and connecting with my body, it was still like, it was deeper than just the surface level, because it was a lot of emotional stuff, but it was deeper than that. But I'm feeling much more called to go deeper and not focus on just the surface stuff, which I still love the surface stuff. I still love doing my hair. I still love doing my makeup. I still love looking cute, but I'm feeling more of a calling to talk to you more, to have it be less just about the photos, and to actually teach more about masculine and feminine energies and dynamics, and talk about relationship dynamics and things like that. I feel like I'm called to take things a level deeper. So, you know, am I never gonna do another like selfie photo shoot in lingerie or with bras? I'll probably do it at some point. I don't know, maybe, who knows? I don't know. I might wake up tomorrow and decide to do a whole series of new photos. I don't know. I might never do another photo shoot again. I don't know. Like, I don't really have that whole thing mapped out. I'm feeling called to take things deeper, to talk more, to share more. I have an online course because I really want to help women connect even deeper. I know I have so many women that have reached out to me and told me that, you know, they bought lingerie and they felt sexy in it because I inspired them to do that, or that they, you know, they tried wearing makeup again, which they hadn't in years, because it made them feel beautiful and they took some time to take care of themselves. And when I get those messages, that's what keeps me going. That's what really makes me, that's what motivates me and makes me fulfilled. You know, it's not the tongue hanging out emojis or the green card marriage offers that I get from random guys that I block. Like, it's not that at all. It's the women who come to me and tell me that I've made a difference in their lives. Like, that motivates me. And that's why I created my online course, Feminine Radiance, because I want to teach women how to get a level deeper than that, how to connect even deeper into their feminine energy, into their sexuality, into themselves, and love themselves even deeper than just the surface level stuff. And I feel like I've been going on this journey of starting with the surface and taking things a level deeper every time. I really want to work with people who are like where I was, you know, a few steps ago, and like help them get to where I am now. While I'm always learning and progressing, I want to help other women, because I really feel like for so many of us, especially as women, and all the women listening, is that, you know, connecting and reclaiming our feminine energy is so healing. It's healing to us, it's healing to the world, and that's why I want to do what I do. Yeah, that's where I see myself going in the future. I will admit, I really try to stay positive and keep a positive outlook about the world and about men in general. A lot of times when I go to my Instagram, it's really difficult for me to do that. So I'm going through and I'm really trying to cut out any of the negativity or negative energy that is coming into my life from that, because I don't want to live in that negativity. But I want the women especially to know, and I'm not shunning the guys, there are some really great and supportive and wonderful men who do follow me and who leave very polite, insightful, respectful comments. Even if they're critical, they're still respectful, and I totally appreciate that. I'm always up for healthy discussions. But I want the women to know that, like, you're what motivates me. Like, when you tell me that something that I did or said to you has inspired or changed your life, even in a small way, it makes all of the ups and downs, all of the windy roads and the everything, it makes it all worth it. And I want you all to know how much I appreciate you, especially if you're still watching this video. I want you to know how much I appreciate you. All of you that have been following along with me on this journey that are still here, or those of you that found me somewhere along the way and are still here, I just want you to know how much I appreciate you. So thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you want me to do any follow-up videos on any of these topics, or you have another topic you want me to talk about, I was going to get into talking about women getting put into categories as far as their sexuality and the good girl, bad girl thing, but you know what? That deserves its own video, so I'm going to do a video about that. I have had a request for that, so I'm going to do a video about that as well. But any other requests for topics, hope you found this video helpful. I know it was really rambly. If you did enjoy this video and found it helpful, please give it a big thumbs up. Be sure you subscribe to my channel. You can check out my online course, Feminine Radiance. The information is in the description box below, along with the links to follow me on social media. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope you join me next time.